Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lin. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister addresses Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi and says, amid a huge global uncertainty, India's era is being discussed. Highlights increase in trust towards India. India's External Affairs Minister S. Shankar meets the Sri Lankan President and Prime Minister. He discusses bilateral issues during his visit to the island nation. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei defends his country's recent missile attack on Israel, calls it legal and legitimate despite West Asia crisis. The EU vote to slap tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, proposed duties of up to 45% to cost car makers billions of extra dollars to bring cars into the bloc. Top Court also says that the FIFA player transfer rules breach EU law. The decision of the European Union Court could have wide-ranging implications. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi. The Prime Minister underlined the government's commitment to carrying out structural reforms and to make India a developed country. He highlighted the work done in the first 3 months of his third term. The Prime Minister highlighted that amid the global uncertainty, investors' confidence has increased in India.
Bold policy changes, jobs और स्किल्स को लेकर मजबूत कमिटमेंट, सस्टेनेबल ग्रोथ और इनोवेशन पर फोकस, आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ और तेज ग्रोथ की कंटिन्यूटी, ये हमारे पहले 3 महीनों की पॉलिसीज का रिफ्लेक्शन है। इस दौरान 15 ट्रिलियन रुपीस यानी 15 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक के डिसीजंस लिए गए हैं। इन्हीं 3 महीनों में भारत में अनेक मेगा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स पर काम शुरू हुआ है। हमने देश में 12 इंडस्ट्रियल नोड्स बनाने का भी निर्णय लिया है। हमने देश में 3 करोड़ नए घर बनाने को भी मंजूरी दी है।
The Prime Minister also said that India's banking reforms have not only strengthened the financial conditions of banks, they have increased their lending capacity.
हमारे बैंकिंग रिफॉर्म्स ने बैंकों की फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन को तो मजबूत किया ही है, उनकी लेंडिंग कैपेसिटी को भी बढ़ाया है। इसी तरह जीएसटी ने अलग अलग सेंट्रल और स्टेट इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस को इंटीग्रेट किया है। इंसॉल्वेंसी एंड बैंक्रप्सी कोड यानी आईबीसी ने रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, रिकवरी और रिजोल्यूशन का नया क्रेडिट कल्चर डेवलप किया है। भारत ने माइनिंग, डिफेंस, स्पेस जैसे अनेक सेक्टर्स को प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स के लिए, हमारे यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के लिए खोला है। हमने एफडीआई पॉलिसी को लिबरलाइज किया ताकि दुनिया भर के इन्वेस्टर्स के लिए यहां ज्यादा से ज्यादा अवसर बन सके। हम अपनी लॉजिस्टिक कॉस्ट और टाइम को कम करने के लिए आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर फोकस कर रहे हैं।
Well, at the Kautilya Economic Conclave, India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman highlighted India's rapid economic growth, rising from the 10th place to the 5th largest economy in just 5 years, with expectations of significant per capita income increases and declining inequality. India aims to be a developed country by 2047, but well before that, India will attain the status of the world's third largest economy. Let's look at this report. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman spoke at the Kautilya Economic Conclave on the theme, The Indian Era. The FM emphasized India's remarkable leap from the 10th to the 5th largest economy in just 5 years, with projections indicating that the country will see substantial increase in per capita income. She noted that the government aims to reduce the fiscal deficit from 5.6% in financial year 2024 to 4.9% in FY25.
India seeks to double its per capita income in a matter of few years for its 1.4 billion population, which makes up about 18% of the global total.
The FM highlighted the decline in inequality, noting improvements in the Gini coefficient for both rural and urban areas. She stated that the upcoming decades will be a defining period for living standards in India.
As India strives towards Vikasit Bharat, we require thought leaders and experts such as yourselves to guide policy making.
The Modi government has initiated several key economic reforms in India since taking office in 2014.
During the last 10 years, government has taken wide-ranging structural and governance reform that have significantly strengthened the economy's foundations and enhanced overall efficiency.
Goods and Services Tax, implemented in July 2017, unified multiple indirect taxes promoting ease of doing business. Make in India, now 10 years old, encouraged manufacturing in India, promoting entrepreneurship and boosting job creation. Digital India digitally empowers society to harness the benefits of a knowledge economy by expanding internet access and promoting digital literacy. Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, IBC, resolves corporate insolvencies and improves bank health. Initiatives like the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, PM Kisan, provide direct income support to farmers. Reforms to enhance farmers' income include better access to credit and technology. Government has liberalized FDI norms across various sectors, making it easier for foreign investors to enter the Indian market. Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative focuses on boosting local manufacturing and reducing dependence on imports. Labor laws were simplified to improve ease of doing business and attract investment. Besides these, there is Startup India, National Infrastructure Pipeline, and the privatization of loss-making public sector enterprises. The third edition of the Kautilya Economic Conclave is being held from the 4th to the 6th of October. This year's conclave focuses on themes such as financing the green transition, geo-economic fragmentation, and the implications of growth, principles of policy action to preserve resilience, among others. Bureau Report, DD India. Well, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Shankar is in Sri Lanka on a day-long visit. And during his visit, Shankar met with the country's newly elected leadership and congratulated them on their new responsibilities. Dr. Shankar called on the President, Anura Kumara Dissanayake. The EAM conveyed the warm greetings of India's President, Draupadi Murmu, and the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Both leaders discussed ways to deepen ongoing cooperation and strengthen India-Sri Lanka ties for the benefit of the people of the two countries and the region. The Indian minister also met the Sri Lankan Prime Minister, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, and he discussed digital public infrastructure training as well as capacity building with the Prime Minister. Further, both agreed to work together to advance India-Sri Lanka partnership. Earlier, Shankar had held wide-ranging talks and reviewed various dimensions of the India-Sri Lanka partnership with his counterpart, Vijita Herath, and India's EAM assured him of India's continued support to Sri Lanka's economic rebuilding. Dr. Shankar also interacted with Sri Lanka's leader of opposition, Sajith Premadasa, and appreciated his continued support for the India-Sri Lanka relationship. Dr. Shankar met the former president of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and thanked him for his efforts in advancing ties between the two countries in the last 2 years. The minister assured him that India will continue to commit to Sri Lanka's economic recovery and development. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal on Friday announced the signing of MOU to expand and diversify critical mineral supply chains between India and the United States. This development was the highlight of the 6th India-US Commercial Dialogue, which the minister co-chaired with the US Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo in Washington, D.C. During the dialogue, both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to driving outcome-oriented actions to ensure steady progress on key priorities throughout the year. In a press conference, the minister said that in today's time, the India-US relationship is transcending politics.
The Honorable Prime Minister was here, the Honorable Defence Minister, Foreign Minister, and I have already been here, and next week the Honorable Finance Minister will be here. Only to share with you that the US-India relationship is today transcending politics. We have worked with 3 administrations, Mr. Modi's tenure. We had Obama administration, Trump administration, and Biden administration.
The Minister Piyush Goyal delivered the keynote address at the CSIS, that's the Center for Strategic and International Studies event on India evolving manufacturing landscape in Washington, D.C. The minister discussed how historic reforms, diversification and localized supply chains are transforming India into a global manufacturing powerhouse. He highlighted the Make in India initiative's role in positioning the country as a key beneficiary of the shifting global supply chains, presenting great opportunities for investors.
When we talk of working amongst trusted partners, India figures high on the list of most parts of the world. And therefore, I believe that our effort to maintain the manufacturing ecosystem in India, even despite all the challenges we inherited in 2014 and the COVID crisis of 2.5 years, the 2 wars that continue to subsist, threatening to escalate, with the Red Sea crisis having affected our international trade. With all of these challenges, the fact that Indian economy grew by 90% when the world economy grew by about 35% in the last 10 years, and we have maintained our manufacturing share at 17% despite all these challenges inherited and faced in the last 10 years, gives us the courage of conviction and confidence to believe that we can aspire to take Indian manufacturing to about 25%.
India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said that India's foreign policy is based on Sagar initiative of Prime Minister Modi, which advocates peaceful resolution of disputes in the Indo-Pacific. He was speaking at the Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue in Delhi. He also shared his concerns about weaponization of resources by some countries in the Indo-Pacific.
While scramble for resources for economic reasons has had a long history, their weaponization by some nations for strategic reasons is a comparatively new phenomenon. India's vision for the Indo-Pacific, anchored in the principles of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region.
India's defence sector has seen remarkable growth, with domestic production reaching a record 1.27 lakh crore rupees in 2023-24. That's around $15.3 billion US. This marks a 16.7% increase over the previous year and a staggering 60% growth compared to 2019-20. The synergy between public and private sectors has been the cornerstone of this success. SIDM Annual Session 2024 and Champions Awards saw 85 nominations across 12 categories. Anil Thomas has the details.
India's defense sector is on a roll, with domestic production reaching a record of 1.27 lakh crore for the year 2023-24. A significant 60% of this growth is attributed to the private sector, highlighting the maturing defense industrial base of India. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, speaking at the opening session of the SIDM Annual Session 2024, stressed the importance of SIDM as a platform to determine the future direction of India's defense manufacturing.
ये मंच वास्तव में भारत के डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के फ्यूचर की दिशा तय करने का एक बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट मंच बन गया है। ऐसा मैंने पिछले 4-5 बार में जब भी यहाँ आया हूँ देखा है। और इस बार के एनुअल फंक्शन की आप सबने जो थीम रखी है, एम्पावरिंग इंडियन डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री, कैटलाइजिंग एक्सपोर्ट्स एंड इंडिजिनस इनोवेशन, यह थीम आपके विजन को दिखाती है और आपके विजन के साथ साथ ये डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर भारत सरकार के संकल्प को भी यह दर्शाती है।
The defense industry can only be empowered for the future if it understands the nature of future threats and the way they are going to manifest actually.
The defense industry can only be empowered for the future if it understands the nature of future threats and how they're going to manifest actually, and how the Indian armed forces are actually visualizing it. To some extent, Baba Kalyani did make a mention of AI, machine learning, and new technologies which are going to revolutionize warfare in the future. So the industry has to understand as to how Indian armed forces are seeing how this warfare is going to unfold and how they are going to fight.
To boost defense manufacturing, 7 domains have been recognized for establishing testing facilities in the defense industrial corridor in India.
Easing of licensing procedure has also provided companies with better opportunity to get finance from institutions. In last 7-8 years, there is almost 200% increase in the number of defense licenses issued by the government to various industries. FDI policy has also been liberalized. Friends, promotion of innovation and technology development is also a priority area where government is making a special effort.
The annual summit also saw an MOU signed between AICTE and SIDM. Private defense companies were recognized for their stupendous achievement across 12 categories. Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour. Efforts underway in southern Taiwan to clear up damage caused by Typhoon Kraton. Lebanon receives a shipment of medical supplies by the WHO and UNHCR.
In this episode, we are looking at India through international eyes.
The greatest strength of India is its people.
India to have that manufacturing capability.
India has already made an important mark in the world.
We are entering into the India era.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. In a rare sermon, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei hailed the deadly attacks on Israel. He said that Iran and its regional allies will not back down against Israel. In the past 24 hours, Israel attacked Lebanon and hit another headquarters of the Iran-backed group Hezbollah. And Hezbollah targeted Israel's Shakhin base for military industries in Haifa Bay. Let's look at the detailed report on West Asia's deepening crisis.
Iran's supreme leader on Friday called the deadly terror attack in Israel a legitimate act. This as he warned the Jewish state won't last long under Iran bombardment. In a rare Friday address, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei also said that Iran's recent missile attack on Israel was legal and legitimate and the minimum punishment for Israel's crimes. He added that the resistance in the region will not back down, even with the killing of its leaders. Huge explosions rocked the Lebanese capital Beirut's southern suburbs overnight, shaking the ground and sending plumes of smoke into the skyline. Israel launched a series of strikes across Lebanon in the past 24 hours and claimed to hit Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in the city. The Lebanese Health Ministry reported that 37 people were killed and 151 wounded in these attacks. A key road connecting Lebanon to neighboring Syria was also severely damaged by the Israeli strike. Israel has defended its actions, accusing Hezbollah of using the crossing to transport military equipment into Lebanon. The Israel Defense Forces announced that they had killed Mahmoud Youssef Anisi, a senior terrorist involving in Hezbollah's precision-guided missile manufacturing chain in Lebanon. Iran-backed Hezbollah group also targeted Israel's Shakhin base for military industries in Haifa Bay, with a salvo of rockets which were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome defense system. Meanwhile, Group of 7 leaders reiterated their deep concern over the crisis and called on players in the region to act responsibly and with restraint while repeating their backing for Israel's security. US President Joe Biden said that he did not believe there is going to be an all-out war in the Middle East, but stressed the need for more efforts to avoid worsening of the situation.
I don't believe there's going to be an all-out war. I think we can avoid it. There's a lot to do yet. We've already helped Israel. We're going to protect Israel.
Amid rising tensions, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi landed in Beirut on Friday and met with Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati just hours after the airstrikes hit outside the airport perimeter overnight. The escalating conflict in West Asia doesn't only pose a serious threat to regional stability, but also to the global economy. The Red Sea shipping route, vital for global trade and responsible for about 20% of the world's oil supply, is increasingly at risk. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, Lebanon has received a shipment of medical supplies on Friday amid a heightened escalating conflict. The aid provided by the World Health Organization, the WHO, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, came a day after WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that they would not be able to deliver the shipment due to flight restrictions. Brussels will stick to plans to impose hefty tariffs on China-made electric vehicles, the EU executive said on Friday, even after the bloc's leading economy, Germany, rejected them. The proposed duties on Chinese-built EVs of up to 45% would cost car makers billions of extra dollars to bring cars into the bloc and are set to be imposed from next month for 5 years. The Commission has said that they would counter what it sees as unfair Chinese subsidies after a year-long anti-subsidy investigation, but it also said on Friday that it would continue talks with Beijing. Southern Taiwan worked on Friday to clear up damage, and this is from flooding and high winds after Typhoon Krakton had slammed into a major port city, while most of the rest of the island, in fact, resumed work, and financial markets also reopened. Kraton, now downgraded to a tropical depression, had hit land in the southwestern city of Kaohsiung, inundating streets, blowing out the windows of some buildings and scattering debris amid record-breaking winds. While the rest of Taiwan resumed work, the government in Kaohsiung and neighboring Pingtung County, they declared a fourth successive day of work as they scrambled to pump away floodwaters, remove fallen trees, and clear the roads. The President of Maldives, Mohamed Muizzu, will be traveling to India on an official visit from the 7th of October to the 10th of October. This is the first bilateral visit of the President of Maldives to India. He will also visit Mumbai and Bengaluru.
President of the Republic of Maldives, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Muizzu, will be traveling to India on a state visit during 7th to 10th of October 2024. This will be the first bilateral visit of President Dr. Muizzu to India. As you know, he had earlier visited India in June 2024 to attend the swearing-in ceremony of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. During the visit, he'll also be visiting Mumbai and Bengaluru, where he'll have business engagements.
Conveying India's disappointment over the visit to Pakistan of the Islamic preacher Zakir Naik, the Ministry of External Affairs has described the visit as condemnable. The MEA spokesperson said that it was not surprising that an Indian fugitive has received a high level of welcome in Pakistan.
Zakir Naik, yes, we have seen reports that he is being fitted in Pakistan. He has been warmly welcomed there. It is not surprising for us that an Indian fugitive, a fugitive from Indian law, justice, has received a high-level welcome in Pakistan. It is something which is disappointing, let me say, condemnable, but at the same time, as I said, it's not surprising. Now, as to what passport he went there, I am not very clear. What papers he went there, we are not very clear.
Well, speaking on the condition of minorities in Bangladesh, the Ministry of External Affairs said that India expects Bangladesh's government to provide security to minorities in that country.
जो वहाँ पर अल्पसंख्यक के लोग हैं, जो माइनॉरिटी वर्ग के लोग हैं, उनकी सुरक्षा होनी चाहिए और हम चाहते हैं, ये हमारा एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि वहाँ की सरकार हमारे जो माइनॉरिटीज़ वर्ग के लोग हैं, जो अल्पसंख्यक हैं, उसको सुरक्षा प्रदान करेंगे और जो भी उनकी ज़रूरतें हैं उनको पूरा करेंगे.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Pora Devi Shrine in Washim district of the Western Indian state of Maharashtra on Saturday. Yogesh Sheetal tells us more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Washim and perform darshan at Jagdamba Mata Temple in Pora Devi. The PM will also pay tribute to samadhis of Sant Sevalal Maharaj and Sant Ramrao Maharaj in Washim. Prime Minister will also inaugurate the Banjara Virasat Museum, celebrating the rich heritage of the Banjara community in Maharashtra.
Pora Devi Shrine is of great religious significance for Banjara community, and it is believed that this is the Kashi of Banjaras. Narendra Modi has always been close to this community even before he took charge as the Prime Minister of India.
Pora Devi, located at Manora Tehsil of Washim, is considered to be the most sacred shrine of the Banjara community. Prime Minister will also hold a mega rally. In line with his commitment to empower farmers, the PM will disperse 18th installment of the PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, worth about 20,000 crore rupees to around 9.4 crore farmers. Prime Minister will also dedicate to the nation more than 7,500 projects under the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Further, Prime Minister will dedicate 5 solar parks with a total capacity of 19 megawatts across Maharashtra under the Mukhyamantri Saur Krishi Vahini Yojana 2.0. Banjara community's glorious history of fight against oppression has been well documented, and Prime Minister Modi has highlighted it on various occasions.
Narendra Modi had started his political campaign for 2014 general election from Washim Yavatmal constituency. Now this time he will address a gathering as a 3-time Prime Minister. Now coming to Banjara community, out of 288 assembly constituencies, 35 are quite sensitive when it comes to the voters from Banjara community, and that's the reason this rally will play a quite important role ahead of Maharashtra assembly election. With my colleague Ram Dhankar, I am YK Sheetal from Maharashtra for DD India.
The Prime Minister will also inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of key metro and road projects on his visit to Maharashtra. He is going to inaugurate the BKC to RA-JVLR section of the Mumbai Metro Line 3, which is worth around 14,120 crore rupees. DD India spoke to Ashwini Bhide, who is the MD, the Managing Director of the Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation.
Colaba-Bandra Seeps Corridor Line 3 is the first and the only fully underground metro line being implemented for Mumbai metropolitan region. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the BKC to RA JVLR section of this line. Metro Line 3 is a key project to improve and facilitate transportation in the city, and once fully operational, Line 3 will cater to around 13 lakh passengers daily with train frequency of about 3 to 4 minutes, ferrying approximately 2,500 passengers in each train.
Phase 1, about 4.84 lakh passengers will be travelling on Phase 1. We will run about 9 trains of 8 coaches with 96 trips, and they will carry these many passengers. So this is a very, very important connectivity which Mumbai is getting, and it has the capacity to transform the way Mumbai travels.
Cuff Parade Station in Colaba and RA JVLR Station near Seeps are the stations at either ends of the corridor. The total length is 33.5 kilometers, which is fully underground corridor having 26 underground plus 1 at grade stations.
This is a 33.5 kilometer long, 37,276 crore worth metro project, which is first underground project, metro project in Mumbai, and the longest fully underground metro project of India.
The line will add connectivity to 6 major business and employment centers, including Nariman Point, Cuff Parade, Fort, Lower Parel, BKC, and Seeps mid-sea. It will integrate with other existing and under construction metros, monorail, suburban rail, and state transport bus services. 15% of the line traffic is expected out of the traffic on suburban railways.
Metro Line 3 will be a crucial addition to the growing metro web in Mumbai. And once integrated with other metro lines and the other transportation hub, it will further enhance the overall public transit network. With camera person Gaurav Kagra, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
And rupees 14,120 crore rupees mentioned in that story is around 1.7 billion US dollars. Let's take a look now at some other stories making news around the world. And we're on the screen now. The Democratic Republic of Congo will begin its Mpox vaccination campaign on Saturday in the eastern city of Goma. The announcement comes as Congo grapples with a surge in Mpox cases, with 988 deaths reported since the start of 2024. The health minister said the outbreak has infected nearly 31,000 people. In a first planetary defense mission, the European Space Agency is set to launch its Hera spacecraft this month. The spacecraft is a part of the International Asteroid Impact and Deflection Assessment. Hera is to be launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station using SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. In one of the biggest evacuations so far, Thailand authorities rescued around 100 elephants stranded amid flash floods in the Elephant Nature Park near Chiang Mai City. 13 adult elephants are still trapped in the park, with park staff scrambling to keep them calm until their rescue. Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour, we'll be discussing the economic the growth story of India, highlighted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Kautilya Economic Conclave in New Delhi. And eminent Indian-American economist, eminent one, Jagdish Bhagwati, he hails India's growth story.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, India's growth story is being hailed the world over. The renowned Indian-American economist Jagdish Bhagwati spoke on India's leap on the economic front. Now, speaking at the Kautilya Economic Conclave, which is being held in New Delhi, he said that India went from taking advice to giving advice to the world. And Jagdish Bhagwati also praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership for transforming the country, and he hailed Prime Minister's efforts in women's empowerment. Let's listen.
One of the funniest things, Finance Minister, was the quality of the system. And there was one joke from the Tariff Commission study was that in an Indian car, everything made a noise except the horn. That was the situation. It's unrecognizable today, thanks to all of you in particular and the Prime Minister. I mean, it's completely transformed now. Today, no one would recognize what has happened. It is amazing how things have been totally transformed. And I think Larry Summers once said that the thing about India and the World Bank is, because he was with the World Bank, and he said in the old days, the World Bank used to tell India what to do. Now India tells the World Bank what to do. And the thing is completely transformed. So we've really arrived at a new age. And I think all of you need to be complimented for that. We are just beneficiaries. We need to look forward to leadership. And the Prime Minister, actually, I'm very happy. I was actually very smart when the Prime Minister was Chief Minister, and then he got elected. The day he got elected to the Prime Ministership, I had a brainwave. I wrote an article in the Times of India welcoming him. Of course, I had no crystal ball. So I just happened to strike it rich. There's no question that we were held back by the autarkic, inward-looking policies, where even whatever we produced was not of good quality, which could really sustain a rapid transformation. So I think the whole system had to change. And I think that is where we were very lucky to get the Prime Minister to come in. As I said, when he got elected, I was absolutely delighted, although I could not never advise him on anything. Once we get ourselves on the right track, then India is a country of countless numbers of gifted people, and they will come in. They're bound to. But the system has to be moving. So we have to know which bus to board and so on. And I think this is something which the Prime Minister has made very clear from the beginning. And I think he's also been very involved in poverty and in women's issues. I mean, these are two important areas. So once I asked him, because I used to be able to go to him. He was very nice. And so once I said, what is so special that you want to convey to the people? And he said, if I want to build a bus stop in a village, then all I need is cement. Right. But he said, I also want to go further and to say that the conductor ought to treat the people who board the bus, who are usually poor, to treat them with respect. Now, I had never heard anybody trained in Cambridge or anywhere else talk like that. I mean, to me, it was a huge surprise that anybody could think like that. And that endeared me to him. And he was also very good about women. My wife was absolutely keen to vote for him for one simple reason, because I had gone to see him when he was Chief Minister and about to become the Prime Minister. And we Gujaratis, you probably know, when we crack a joke, we put our hand out. And then the other party is supposed to go like that. So you are actually, it's a very Gujarati thing. So Padma said to me when I went in before my lecture, and he says, I've heard your jokes, I don't want to go. And so she was sitting out in the audience. And then Narendra Bhai came out, and he remembered. I mean, that's the amazing thing about him. Someone must have told him that Padma was in the audience. So he comes around and says, Bahan, that's a Gujarati Bahan, agar aao. And he got her to stay with him. And for Padma, he had the Prime Minister's vote for life. And I have such stories from all the women he's encountered. So for him, women's issues were important. And I could write a whole book on the subject, because there's lots of things he has done, and which I'm aware of, but that is for another session. So we are on an onward track. There is nothing which bothers me at the moment as I look at what's going on. And it seems to me that to try and advise this government is very difficult, because most of the things being done are really very good and proper. So it seems to me that, and a lot of young people are coming up. There's a great deal of enthusiasm in the country also. And I think I never thought I would see this in my lifetime. And so it seems to me that this is something, I'm glad I'm about almost 91. and that I've lived long enough to see the transformation and feel good about it.
91-year-old Professor Jagdish Bhagwati, one of the most renowned economists in the world from the Columbia School. Now, Dr. Amit Kapoor, Honorary Chairman of the Institute of Competitiveness, is with us. Dr. Kapoor, let's unpack some of that stuff. What sectors should India be concentrating on at a time like this? We already know AI is sweeping across industry.
So, this is something very important. One is, of course, there are those pan-India answers in terms of what needs to be done. From a pan-India perspective, we need to focus on agriculture very, very clearly, because that's where most of the employment is. But the second thing that we have to fundamentally look at is, semiconductors we're already doing. We've also done something like the Production Link Incentive Scheme, which is a very powerful example across sectors of what can be done. But there are 2 or 3 other sectors which can be defining what India needs to actually be driving in the future. One is going to be healthcare. And healthcare, because of this whole AI transformation that is happening, healthcare is going to be fairly different. And India has the technological, capability to really move it forward. So healthcare is going to be very, very good. And there are 2 perspectives to it. One is, of course, going to be diagnostic. The other thing is going to be creating that whole capability across different set of states, villages, and cities. So that's going to create a huge job potential as well. Third is going to be education. I think India is just at the tip of the education. And in fact, today's Prime Minister made a very important point in his speech that, if you really look at the number of ranking of universities, they've trebled over the last few years. So look at that figure. So Indian education is just getting started now, and especially the higher education. In the next 10 years to 20 years, Indian education or higher education is going to be at a very different juncture than what we are really looking at. So that is also another sector which is going to really pop up. But if you really see, these are pan-India things, but there are states which can be phenomenally doing something exceptional. If you really talk about a state of Gujarat, petrochemicals is going to be very, very good. Gems and jewelry is going to be good. If you go to Tamil Nadu, then it is going to be something like Indian handicrafts and things across the border state, things that you're able to build up. So across states, there are so many things. Tourism is going to be one hell of a sector across the country. In fact, in India, tourism is so untapped right now. But with this whole development of infrastructure that we are seeing, with ease of travel and ease of movement of people, those are the sectors which are really going to come up. And the most positive thing about this is that the multiplier it is going to create. One is, of course, the sectors we need to focus on. But for India, the multiplier of these things is going to be tremendous. In fact, the direct, indirect, and the induced impact of all these efforts is going to be huge. In fact, a very simple example is the Kevadia example. I always say that if you really look at the statue that was built there, and what happened there, in fact, there was so much criticism at one point in time for that statue. But if you really look at it, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue is out there, the number of people who visit there, about 100,000 people, 40,000 jobs, and the multiplier is huge. And it is just getting started. And when you really look at this whole tourism aspect in India, it is just going to create a lot of wealth and opportunities for people.
Absolutely. Also, Dr. Kapoor, to what extent are digital reforms bringing about greater income equality across the country? Because that was one of the big concerns, is that, growth is taking place, but is, inequality coming down?
So, when you talk about inequality, there are 2 ways of looking at inequality. One is, of course, the income part of it. And there could always be a debate when people will say that, that income inequality exists. But there is also something else, and that is about the social equality that exists. And if you really look at the complete picture in terms of, say, the integrated view of how to look at poverty, the multidimensional poverty, we do see that it has reduced tremendously in India. And without a doubt, you can't question that perspective. The only thing is going to be on income levels. Yes, there is always going to be the thing in terms of people will become richer. There would be somebody who's going to be at the lower end. But that is a phenomena which happens across the world. It's not only in India. But what we are seeing from multidimensional, yes, it has phenomenally reduced. The second thing in terms of digitization, one of the most important aspects on this is that whole idea of Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile. I think the more we say, the less it is, because for a simple reason, Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile has been a transformational journey for India over the last 10 years. Look at the kind of information access that we get. Look at the kind of banking access we've had. the unbanked women were able to get there. So today, that whole information flows that we are talking about and the financial flows that we are talking about has had huge social impact as well. So one is economic, the other one is social. I think the transformation in the lives of women is absolutely stunning. They are empowered citizens today, far more empowered than what they were actually in the past as well.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this discussion. Thanks very much, Dr. Amit Kapoor. Thank you for joining us. Now, in Chhattisgarh, 30 Naxals have been killed in an encounter with police along the Narayanpur-Dantewada border, and a significant cache of automatic weapons has been recovered from them. The security forces are continuing their search operations in the region, and further details are expected to emerge as the situation develops. The Chief Minister, Vishnu Dev Sai, congratulated the police. And he said that Naxalism is taking its last breath. Naxalism is certainly going to be eliminated from the state. And he said that India's Home Minister Amit Shah visited the state twice in the last 9 months regarding this issue, and has resolved to eliminate Naxalism by March of 2026. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. 5 more languages, Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali are now classical languages. And the Court of Justice of the European Union says that FIFA's transfer rules are against the European Union's laws.
In this episode, we are looking at India through international eyes.
The greatest strength of India is its people.
India to have that manufacturing capability.
India has already made an important mark in the world.
We are entering into the India era.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Now, India's Union Cabinet has approved the recognition of 5 more languages as classical. Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali join the ranks of 6 others that are already recognized as classical languages.
India is home to a rich linguistic heritage with several ancient languages that have evolved over thousands of years. To honor and protect this cultural legacy, Government of India has granted classical language status to Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali. These languages are now part of the nation's protected linguistic treasures.
Once a language is declared as a classical language, there is a lot of international interest in it. There are many international universities which start courses and research programs in those classical languages. And we have seen in the recent times, several international awards have been instituted to recognize and encourage the achievements in the field of classical languages.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi applauded the Cabinet's decision, emphasizing that recognizing these 5 languages as classical will inspire more people to learn and explore their rich histories.
So if these languages are declared as the classical languages, the universities would establish chairs. There would be center of excellences to study these languages. There would be publications and there would be documentation on these languages.
पूर्व का जो दौर रहा है उसमें पाली और प्राकृत ने अपनी ध्वजा को संस्कृत के साथ विस्तार दिया है। पुनः ऐसा होने पर जो हमारी प्राच्य विद्याविद हैं उनके निर्माण की एक नई श्रृंखला पैदा होगी।
इन सारों की एक साथ बात करें तो निसंदेह जो हमारा ज्ञान निधि है उसको पूरा करने के लिए इन भाषाओं का मेन स्ट्रीम में आना निहायत जरूरी था।
Looking back, in 2004, Government of India introduced a new category for languages known as classical languages. The criteria were revised in 2005 and again in 2024. The key criteria for classical language status includes documented antiquity of text or history spanning over 1500 to 2000 years, a body of ancient texts considered a heritage by generations of speakers, the presence of significant prose, poetry, inscriptions, and epigraphical evidence, the classical language may be distinct from or discontinuous with its modern form or derivatives. The Ministry of Education has taken significant steps to promote classical languages, including establishing 3 central universities dedicated to language promotion. Before the cabinet decision, India recognized 6 classical languages: Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Sanskrit, and Odia. Tamil was the first to receive the status in 2004, followed by Sanskrit in 2005. By extending classical status to 5 more languages, government aims to boost employment opportunities in academic and research sectors. The recognition is expected to foster a sense of pride and ownership among speakers of these languages, strengthening national unity and promoting India's vision of cultural self-reliance. Tripti Tripaঠি's report for DD India.
Well, an international symposium was organized at the Sanskrit department of the Calcutta University, and Professor of Sugriva State Hindu University in Indonesia, Dr. I. Ketut Donder, delivered a speech in the presence of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Santa Datta, and others. And the eminent speaker said that Indonesian Sanskrit tradition is a branch of the ancient Sanskrit Shastra and the Balinese Hinduism. And on the occasion of World Animal Day, a special vaccination campaign was organized in Hapur district of Uttar Pradesh. The aim of the campaign was the prevention of lumpy disease in cattle as well as buffaloes. A team of Animal Husbandry Department visited door to door for vaccination and also for creating awareness about regular feeding of the animals and their maintenance. The cattle herders were happy after seeing that the doctors had reached their doorsteps. And India is celebrating the second day of Navaratri festival. It is significant for Hindus. This Hindu festival celebrated over 9 nights, each dedicated to a different form of the goddess Durga. It symbolizes power, purity and wisdom, fostering joy, devotion and unity. This year, Sharda Navaratri will conclude on October 12, culminating in Vijayadashmi or Dasara. Let's take a look at this report.
Navratri means 9 nights in Sanskrit. It occurs 4 times a year. The most celebrated being Sharda Navaratri, which takes place in the month of Ashwin, which falls in September and October, according to the Hindu lunar calendar. It is a period of spiritual reflection, fasting and prayer. People worship Goddess Durga in 9 forms, each representing different facets of her power and grace. The second day of Navratri is dedicated to Brahmacharini. Ma Brahmacharini is revered for her dedication and commitment to spiritual practices. Her name combines Brahm, meaning supreme consciousness or knowledge, and Charini, meaning one who practices or pursues. She is the second manifestation of Goddess Durga and embodies wisdom and knowledge. A unique aspect of Sharda Navaratri is the association of each day with a specific color, each holding its own spiritual significance. And day 2 is associated with the green color. These colors reflect the mood and attributes of the goddess, enhancing the festive spirit and joy of the occasion. The first 3 days of Navratri are dedicated to inertia, the next 3 days to restlessness and activity, and the last 3 days to purity. And victory over all the qualities, being centered and celebrating life, is the spirit of the final day called Vijayadashmi or Victory Day. Navaratri serves as a period of spiritual cleansing and renewal. Families and communities come together to offer prayers and to celebrate the triumph of good over evil. Bureau Report, DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for the sports news. An EU's top court, the Court of Justice of the European Union, on Friday said that the transfer rules of the world's soccer governing body FIFA, they go against European Union laws. In a ruling on a high-profile case linked to the former France player Lassana Daira, citing that the bloc's free movement principles, Daira has claimed that FIFA's transfer rules had blocked him from moving to a new club after his contract was terminated by Lokomotiv Moscow in 2014. FIFA's regulations on the status and transfer of players say a player who terminates a contract before its term without just cause is liable to pay compensation to the club, and where the player joins a new club, they will be joint and severally liable as well for the payment of that compensation. The Indian Air Force is rehearsing for the 92nd Air Force Day in Chennai to be held on October 6. 72 aircraft, including Rafale, indigenously made light combat aircraft Tejas, Sukhoi 30 MKI, Sarang helicopter display teams, and the Surya Kiran aerobatics team. They participated in the final rehearsal. And here, let's look at some of the visuals. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news and updates from India and the world on the DD India mobile app. That app is available on Android and iOS platforms. Scanning the QR code, you can get it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you for your time and company. Namaskar.